Oftentimes in any RPG or action-adventure you can think of, side quests serve the main purpose of offering optional content for the player. They can help flesh out the broader story by digging into the game's themes and presenting a different angle through the experiences of minor characters. While they enrich the overall experience, they're usually not essential for understanding the main narrative or completing the emotional arcs of the central party members. Take the Yakuza games for example. A series that masterfully balances its emotionally resonant and mature main story with a heavy dose of comedy in its side quests. These intentionally over-the-top side stories are designed to offer comic relief and ease the tension of the main narrative. Whether it's through wild goose chases spiraling into ridiculous brawls with rival Yakuza gangs and often ending with some oddly wholesome moral lesson, or through quirky minigames you'd never try otherwise. The conclusions of these sub-stories rarely affect the main plot or grant game-changing rewards. Instead, the real payoff is the absurd and often hilarious experience of roaming the streets of Kamurocho and Sotenbori. And after playing through a few of them, you tend to know exactly what to expect. Well, most of the time anyway. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great example of how to design side quests around environmental puzzles that encourage deeper exploration and creative problem solving. Many of these also follow the typical hunt and fetch formula. Those can range from collecting flowers or other necessary materials for someone in need to taking down powerful bosses you wouldn't get the chance to encounter otherwise. In some cases, these side quests prove more challenging than anything in the main story, and typically, the reward for these includes stat-boosting items or upgrades that enhance your abilities for future battles and quests. Another prominent example for side quests is the infamous cat side quest that shouldn't be missing in any good RPG. Chrono Trigger is a prime example, giving you right at the beginning of the game the option to help a little girl find her missing cat. Over the years, the concept of the cat quest has appeared in countless RPGs, becoming a beloved tradition and firmly cementing its place as a staple of the genre. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth continue the tradition with their own take on the classic cat quest. As the protagonist, Cloud Strife, you're stepping into the role of a mercenary, taking on any job for the residents to build your reputation and earn some money. While you're exploring the slums of Sector 7 in Midgar, Cloud takes on a side quest from Batty to find her lost friends by collecting all her missing cats and bringing them home. Through this quest, you get to explore more of the area itself and immerse yourself into the living situation of the people and their daily struggles. In this example with Betty's cats, you can tell from the beginning what this quest is about and what to expect from it. A simple hunt, ending with a happy girl, reunited at last with her fluffy friends.
Thank you!
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth puts a slight twist on the cat quest by having you escort and protect a kitten, and in another mission even a dog, from any monsters along the way. But the outcome is largely the same. But in some cases, this type of quest only seems to be predictable at first, until it suddenly takes an unexpected turn, like in the instance of another Final Fantasy game. By the time you arrive in the fields of Sunbreak in Final Fantasy XVI, you've already encountered the typical side quests as I've described them so far. Fairly mundane fetch or monster hunting quests that encourage you to immerse yourself more deeply into the world. But the following side quest, called Playthings, in this section of the game stands out from almost all of the other ones in one very crucial aspect. For context, you play as Clive Rossfield and encounter Lisette, a young girl in distress after losing her beloved Chloe.
She's beautiful white hair. She lets me stroke her when I'm sad. She's ever such a good girl. So quiet and kind. And she likes walking in the wheat. I know the fields are big, but she's never got lost before.
You get the picture that she is missing her very dearly, and Clive, as good-hearted and helpful as he always is, agrees to go find her. You begin searching for Chloe out in the fields, but as vast as they are, it quickly becomes difficult to find her on your own. You turn to the locals for some clues, but unsurprisingly, you realize that even though you are the one trying to help, your presence isn't welcome in the slightest. The reason for that is simple. In the world of Valisthea, people with magical affinities, so-called bearers, are treated like slaves and oftentimes even worse than animals. And Clive, with a tattoo on his face, is branded as a bearer himself.
Last I saw, the filthy creature was sniffing about the windmill. That girl's old enough to know she should tie her pet up when she's finished playing with it. Off with you now. I won't have idle branded underfoot.
This unfriendly conversation ends with a pretty heavy description for an animal, to put it mildly. But at least now you seem to have a solid lead. As you make your way through the fields towards the windmill, you find a dog barking at it. You might think at first you have finally found Chloe.
More brown than white. You're not Chloe, are you, girl?
No, the description doesn't quite fit. In that moment, Clive spots a person on the ground next to the windmill. The position of the body and the white color of the limbs, however, suggest it's not someone just taking a nap. And it is at this point that it slowly begins to hit you. The Chloe you were looking for wasn't Lizette's cute little pet. It was her own bearer.
Chloe, I was calling you. Didn't you hear me?
What?
Get up now. You've slept long enough. It's time to go home. Chloe?
What started as the usual cat quest helping a young girl find her lost kitten, as you were led to believe, suddenly turns into one of the most horrifying depictions of the harsh realities of this world. There never was a cat, a dog, or even a chocobo. And the filthy creature that the woman from earlier was referring to wasn't a rabid animal causing chaos. It was simply another human being. Abandoned in the dirt, without anyone ever noticing. Just another unfortunate soul cursed to be born with magical affinities in a world that despises and abuses their kind. What's even worse is what you learn in the conversation that follows. This dead Chloe wasn't unique at all. She was just one of many bearers Lisette casually called by that very name, as if their lives were all the same. For the player, this moment is a hard reality check that effectively conveys how dark and unforgiving the world of Valisthea truly is. It reinforces the bleak tone and atmosphere for the rest of the game in a way that is quite unique for a quest that isn't even mandatory. Yet it adds so much to the immersion of the player that it could easily be part of a main quest. Up until this point in the story, you've gotten a pretty clear picture of just how deeply structural discrimination and labor exploitation run across the different kingdoms. The best example is your visit to Martha's Rest. You see firsthand how Martha cares for outcast bearers who are no longer useful to others, providing them with medicine, food, and shelter during their final hours before they turn into stone and die a slow, painful death. You come to understand how bearers are exploited from non-bearers for their own benefit or simply for their amusement. Their fate is sealed the moment it is discovered that they possess magical abilities.
It was a bearer. The boy I carried for 9 long moons. A bloody bearer.
Oh, you poor thing. You gave it to the constables then?
Just left it at the garrison, I let them deal with it.
Mum, you weren't my brother, was he?
No. But you'll have one soon enough. You just have to be patient. All right?
All right.
There are quite a few other gruesome depictions of how hatred toward bearers manifests as the story progresses, though these usually involve adults, making them feel grim but expected as the narrative unfolds. But never before in the game do you witness that hatred expressed so poignantly through a child. The moment Lizette repeats the same harmful beliefs, treating another human being like her own plaything with such innocence and carelessness, unaware of the cruelty behind her words, is all the more disturbing for how natural it seems.
Why did you already turn into a rock? I only made you do a bit of magic. It could be months before Dad gives me another one. I have to wait until they're too tired to work anymore.
It's only when she begins to cry, after Clive explains what her words really meant, that the weight of it finally sinks in, making the scene hit even harder. The backdrop of the beautiful golden fields bathed in sunset, with the majestic capital Oriflamme standing beside the crystal, is starkly juxtaposed with the ominous and oppressive soundtrack that plays specifically in this area, making the unexpected revelation of the side quest feel even more harrowing. It transforms the horror of this world from something you intellectually understand into something that makes you feel deeply uncomfortable, angry, and horrified. You're left with the impression that there is nothing good left in this miserable world, no matter where you look. And if even the supposedly fun and lighthearted cat side quest can't offer the player a moment of relief from the all-encompassing corruption and darkness, you're left to wonder. Is there nothing sacred anymore? Can this world even be saved? But this isn't the only instance where this feeling sets in. As it just so happens, there's another quest in this area that pairs eerily well with the first. A side quest called All Bark. This time, Clive is mistaken for someone else by a nobleman and tasked to rescue their son, who is supposedly about to be killed by a savage beast. If you completed Lizette's quest though, you might get the same uneasy feeling creeping up on you. A sense that something here doesn't sit right either.
For someone whose son's in mortal danger, he didn't seem all that worried. Something's not right here. I need to be careful.
Regardless, you press on, and sure enough, you find a wild beast and a young boy crying for help. You strike down the beast, saving the child like you were made out to believe, but the real monster turns out to be someone else entirely.
No! You weren't supposed to kill Wolfie. You were supposed to die. Father will have you whipped for this. Bearers aren't supposed to win. They never win.
What is this? Your father said you were being attacked.
You're not supposed to talk.
The initial tone of this side quest is much like the one before. It begins as an innocent rescue mission until it reveals itself to be nothing more than a trap, and you find yourself in yet another sinister depiction of the dark side of humanity. You were never supposed to rescue the nobleman's son. You were supposed to end up dead in the grass alongside other bearers. Forgotten, neglected and abused. All for the twisted amusement of a spoiled rich kid who takes pleasure in watching others suffer and die for sport. A conversation with the father and son follows, but unlike the young girl who in the end at least came to realize her mistake, neither of them shows a single shred of guilt or remorse.
That wolf was trained. Better trained by far than your worthless kind. You are the entertainment, nothing more. And we are most certainly not entertained.
To them, anyone beneath their own status is worthless. If a bearer dies, they simply buy another. If a toy breaks, they simply replace it with a newer one. It quickly becomes clear that Clive can change their minds, nor can he appeal to their reason.
I'm wasting my time. But I can't just leave those bearers lying out there. They deserve a proper burial. That much I can do at least.
You're left with a sour taste in your mouth, realizing that there is nothing that can be done against the systemic oppression and twisted morals of the society. It's far too vast and far too ingrained in the hearts of its people. But the story doesn't quite end there. Suddenly, you can listen how Mother Nature enacts justice in the most unexpected way.
Father! Father! Ah! Ah! Ah!
A shocking twist to one of the darkest quests in Final Fantasy XVI. Both side quests carry their own moral, each offering a striking portrayal of how slavery and discrimination become embedded in a society's collective consciousness, how these systems seep into the next generation and shape its most innocent and impressionable members. Lizette's reaction in particular shows how growing up in an environment where harmful beliefs are inherited and left unchallenged can lead someone to commit cruelty without ever realizing it. But the ending also teaches us another valuable lesson: that change is possible when someone takes the time to explain and model the right values. Clive's conversation with Lizette, helping her understand that Chloe wasn't a broken, replaceable toy, but a real girl just like herself, reveals that there is still humanity within her. In mourning Chloe's death, Lizette shows that even those raised in toxic environments can begin to unlearn what they've been taught. There is a chance to outgrow destructive beliefs and learn from the past.
I'm so sorry, Chloe.
Though not integral to the main narrative, both quests serve as compelling examples of how side content can enrich and underscore a story's core themes. Simple in structure but highly effective in execution, they leave you reflecting on the cruelty of the world these characters inhabit. As a player, you're not just witnessing injustice, you're feeling the weight of it. That emotional response mirrors Clive's own.
Oriflamme, how many bearers suffer to keep your granaries full?
Deepening your connection to his journey and giving you a stronger personal stake in the fight to free this world from its misery and oppression. Thanks for watching.